Right. Pressing forward. My biggest technological achievement as a 12-year-old was killing about 6 Tamagotchis. And now we have 12-year-olds who are learning to build their own computers, learning how to program on them, and generally outpacing me as a productive human being. That is due largely to our next guest, Alex Klein from Kano. Please welcome him to the stage, and our moderator, Natasha Lomas.
Hey, Alex.
Hi, Natasha.
Thanks for joining us from
You're
London.
welcome. No
The
problem.
best city there is, right?
Yes, yes, best
We
city in
can
the
say
whole
that
wide world.
because
yes.
we live there. For those of you who may not know what Kano is, you're basically building a DIY computer coding and computer kit. So it's for kids ages 7 to 14. They get a box of bits. They put it all together, and you use the Raspberry Pi as your key piece, and you build on top of that with an OS that's fun and accessible and designed for kids. I mean, this is a very multifaceted and complex product in some ways, and but you're making it very simple and easy for this target age group of sort of 7 to 14s. I wonder, is it fair to label Kano a toy with sort of creative and educational potential, but essentially you're designing something for kids to play with, right?
I would say, Kano is a computer. You just happen to make it yourself. It has the playability, the intuitiveness and accessibility of perhaps a toy, but it's powerful. Kids around the world have used Kano to make servers, base stations, to automate the position of solar panels. Kids using the Kano kit have created and shared over 5 million lines of code. The idea behind the project is more to build a new kind of computer company, one that puts creativity in the front seat rather than consumption. It starts with a simple kit, but from there you're building a hardware system with speakers, servers, radios. You're hooking it up to the internet. I think it was inspired in many ways by the notion that making, learning, and playing are all intimately connected, and that all of us have this curious and creative spirit of a 9-year-old inside of us. All you need are these sort of simple steps, stories, and affordable tools, and you can break out. Play can often become one of the greatest accelerants of invention, in our view.
So, I mean, is your goal here to sort of change computing behavior? I mean, is it a bit like teaching kids to cook so that they eat more healthily?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the world today. About 30 months ago, I encountered, while I was working as a reporter, actually, this.
You've got everything in your pockets.
I know, yeah. It's like a Batman utility pocket. This little green brain called the Raspberry Pi. $35. It had sold, 1 million units. Hackers, makers, hobbyists around the world were sending it into space, sending it under the ocean. We took this and showed it to a 6-year-old, my little cousin Mika. Making a Beowulf cluster or a server array wasn't something that immediately appealed to him. What he said to us is, Alex, Jonathan, Saul, I want to make a computer. I want to build it myself, and it has to be as simple and fun as Lego, so no one has to teach me.
But I mean, are you really saying, I mean, this is like, there's loads of pieces here. Is this really simple enough that any 7-year-old could come along and in 10 minutes they've put together a computer and they're writing code? That's
the idea. I mean, I remember in some of the early workshops, all we had was this little, these hand-folded cardboard boxes filled with bits, boards, brains, and a simple book, a step-by-step illustrated story. We started taking these into schools, first across the UK, then South Africa, the Middle East, Sierra Leone. I'd stand up in front of the class and I'd ask 3 questions. Question 1, who here has seen the inside of a computer before? The inside of a computer, right? We live in this world of 8.2 billion connected devices. Most of them are these sealed sapphire screens. None of these kids had seen the inside of a computer. Question 2, who here can tell me how a computer thinks, how its brain works? Tons of ideas. Oh, the computer sends magic waves to YouTube. The computer talks to Instagram in a secret code. There's passion here, but there's no understanding. Question 3, who here thinks they could make a computer themselves? And no hands go up.
Silence.
Yeah, silence, like chirp, chirp, chirp. And then I said, okay, kids, guess what? In the next hour, all of you, you're going to build your own computer, you're going to build a speaker, you're going to connect it up to the internet, you're going to call a video down from YouTube, you're going to make Minecraft appear before your eyes, and you're going to do it without me saying a word, which is difficult for me. Sure enough, an hour later, just with a simple story, open source tools and this really intuitive human plug-and-play hardware, they built it, and that was the beginning.
And you were the most popular person in the class at that point?
We asked kids how they feel after the workshops, right? And this one kid called Khalid said something very perspicacious. He said, he's 9, said, adults, they think we're incapable because we're so young. But today, we made a computer and powered it up with this matrix code. So that makes us super children. I was like, yes, Khalid, you are a super child, and there needs to be a computer company built by and for you, this rising creative generation who want to do more than just swipe across prepackaged apps on a sealed sapphire screen.
Now, the name, I think, Kano has this really nice ring to it, and there's also a little story behind that, isn't there? So perhaps you could just draw that out. And also, I mean, you touched on it, but what was your how did you originally come up with this idea? I think that involves your cousin.
Sure, yeah. So again, the original challenge came from Mika, my 6-year-old cousin. He challenged us to create a computer that he could build himself, as simple and fun as Lego, so no one had to teach him. Kano started as this sort of strange dream between a couple of misfits in a little North London flat. And we realized we could make this simple, story-filled computer kit at a pretty low cost, $150. From Mika's challenge came a sort of bigger idea, which was, you look out in the world today, these 8.2 billion connected devices, only 50 million of us actually know how to talk to them. Most of the innovation, the magic, is sealed away in a tiny 1% of 1% in the valley in accelerators. We want to democratize the ability to make technology, not just consume it. And the name Kano was sort of connected to this. Kano Jigoro was the founder of the martial art judo. Judo was the first martial art that really extended beyond a kind of priestly small class in Japan. Kano Jigoro, the founder of Judo, was also a lifelong primary school teacher. His motto was maximum efficiency, minimum effort. So we're trying to put that creative, experimental, improvisational power back in the hands of people, and when they're young as well, so they don't grow up thinking of computing just as a sealed black box of Silicon Valley approved tricks.
Now, your founding team actually, well, it includes Mika, your cousin. It includes another cousin, Saul Klein of Index Ventures.
Yeah.
He's also an investor, and Index is an investor. I mean, these are great contacts to have as a startup. I wonder how important family connections have been to sort of getting Kano off the starting blocks.
Yeah, I think, the fact that we were building this, for little Mika, who I've known since his bris, although he probably wouldn't want me to reference that. It added a lot of emotion to the project, I think, for all of us. As for Saul, an incredible mentor, and I think one of the greatest things he ever did was introducing me to my co-founder, Jonathan. And together, we teamed up in North London. We found a couple of madcap misfits from around the world. A head of software, Alejandro, from the PlayStation 4 team, an incredible, ingenious designer from the north of Sweden, Tommy, all attracted to this notion of an open, affordable, simple, physical computer that anyone can make. That sort of telos, that core mission, has now attracted a team of 36. We're working out of 4 countries in London. We represent 15 nationalities, and we really are trying to do something a bit different, a bit more creative and experimental with the world of the PC, which we feel needs humanizing. The PC still sells 65 million units a year, but why aren't people making it themselves? Why aren't people experimenting like they did in the early 80s, pulling together the Intel 8080, the MOS 2365, hacking it together with bits and parts and inventing something new? The world of the PC has become too homogenized. We want to bring it to places all over the world with a new sense of fun, narrative, and experimentation.
This is a very ambitious goal, a big project. I wonder, so, I mean, you started this on Kickstarter, crowdfunding. Right. That was your first sort of tract of funding. I think you had some seed funding before that as well, actually. You raised 1.5 million on Kickstarter. That's got you going, shipping the first 40,000 kits. I wonder, what's the next piece in your funding story? Sure.
So it's been an incredible journey to this point today on this stage, where we're really happy to have brought many people, many investors, tinkerers, makers, inventors from all over the world together to drive this core kit. And for the next stage of Kano's development, we're really excited to welcome to the team Jim Breyer, who is an astonishing individual, entrepreneur, investor, and he'll be leading our $15 million Series A, hoping to power up the product, bring it to new markets, and continue to kind of breathe this sort of magic back into open source making. You look at someone like Jim, who we've had the pleasure of getting to know over the past couple months, and this is a guy who helped drive the first PC revolution at Dell. He was one of the first VC investors in Facebook, which started as a youth movement, but is now an indispensable platform for all of our expression. Along with Jim Breyer, we're really happy to welcome Jim O'Neill to the team. He's a former chief economist at Goldman Sachs and coiner of the term BRIC. We feel that Kano needs to be a computer encoding kit for all ages, all over the world. We need to untap potential, wherever it's locked, either by geography, economics, or know-how. Jim O'Neill is someone who understands this intimately and deeply. We're also bringing collaborative ventures along, and you referenced our backdrop as a crowd-funded company. We'll be crowdfunding $500,000 of our new Series A on the platform Choir, which is an amazing place for your customers, your community to come together and actually put up some money and get a significant equity stake in the company as well, not just buy a product. And we'll be using that community as we use the Kickstarter community as a hive mind for new ideas on the product, new ideas for the development of the business, and just for fun, because we feel that the more places we can touch, the more participatory this company is, the more open and accessible the final product will be as well.
I'm curious who the users of this kit are at the moment. What does the gender balance look like? Are you kind of thinking about ways to design the kit so it's equally appealing to girls and boys?
I think that was a core design goal from the beginning, that the kit should feel gender neutral, that it should speak to sort of fundamental human impulses rather than ones that are delimited by age or gender. So we believe at Kano that everyone, no matter where you live, no matter how old you are, has a couple of shared urges. We all want to look inside, right? One of the first videos we ever did as Kano is we gave a sealed MacBook Air to a rhesus macaque, a monkey, named Lily, and watched as she tried to piece it apart. Everyone wants to look inside, everyone wants to take control, and everyone wants to make and play. That's gender neutral, age neutral. So, the average age of a Kano kid right now is about 9.5, about 60-40 male-female, but, what's interesting is the girls are among our most active users. We have now, 40,000, kids of all ages, by the way. We have 45-year-old veterans of Operation Desert Storm, 81-year-old grandmothers who want to learn more about how to code, build themselves a personal website. We have 6-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 15-year-olds, the gamut. Girls in Kosovo using it, again, to automate the position of a solar array. Families in Oklahoma using it to create stop-motion videos of flowers blooming. Artists, painters using it to create code works of generative art, graphics, fractals, branching. It's beautiful. And we think if you merge the computer arts and the computer sciences, you take the PC out of its traditionally sort of kind of techie mode of reinvention, you bring lots of different people to the table.
And I wonder who buys Kano? Is this mostly sort of geeky parents wanting their kid to be the next Mark Zuckerberg? Who are you selling this to?
So we found, at the beginning there was a ton of interest, obviously, from parents, teachers, but as we started to take the kit around the world, first to Sierra Leone, for instance, we saw that there's this sort of rising creative generation of kids who are pulling together available resources, modular hardware, open source software, a bit of nice design, and making things that perhaps the brains in this room, as monumental and IQ powered as they are, could never have imagined. We went to Freetown. We met a young man named Kelvin Doe. This kid, when he was 13, he started pulling electronic parts out of the garbage in the sort of shantytown where he lives in Freetown. He went to an internet cafe. He looked up what each of these components did. Within a couple of years, he built a battery to power the lights in his house when the grid went down. A couple of years after that, he built his own radio station, and he was broadcasting tracks across Sierra Leone. We've had spoken word artists in North London use this to compose beats. We've had kids build servers and game consoles. The core audience now, obviously a lot of parents, a lot of teachers, we all know that in order to prepare the next generation for the future, they're going to have to be able to speak the language of computers, not just consume, but actually reimagine and recreate. But again, the audience for this as a company, Kano is as a new type of PC expression, one that is creative, low cost, physical, and fun. We think that can be mainstream, mass market, beyond parents and teachers.
Do you see yourselves building an education company? You are obviously part of this very burgeoning and growing learn to code movement.
I think, again, we're building a computer company. You look at the early days of Apple. Apple always made education a really important channel because, if you can make something that is so simple and intuitive that a curious mind can walk step by step, page by page, through something that is immediate and human and teaches them something, you're going to have value to educators. But Apple is not an education company, even though they still sell a massive amount to schools and to teachers. I would say, fundamentally, you look at kids today, they don't want to be educated. They want to learn. We don't necessarily need to teach these kids. We don't need to give them a prescriptive, learn to code hierarchy so that they can, grow up one day and become billionaires or go, work at Google in a beautiful multicolored cafeteria with free quinoa. These kids, they want to make.
Quinoa's great.
I love quinoa myself, and hopefully whether they go work at Google or they become a generative artist or a musician or a butcher or a baker or a candlestick maker, having the chance to look inside the world around them, take control, and just make something cool because it's fun, that's a more mainstream message, and that's one that we think is going to bring this next generation up to have the skills they need to really surprise us, to be a super child, like Khalid said.
That's quite a tough product design challenge because kids can be a very tough crowd as consumers, right? Like, how do you grab and sustain their interest and make sure they feel it's fun, not boring, tedious, baddish?
I think the physicality of the kit really helps. So kids, especially with the new Kano, which is 6 times faster, filled with all these amazing creative new projects powered by the Raspberry Pi. Kids, they want to be given a lot of the benefit of the doubt. They don't want to be told what to do. They want to be given a simple series of steps, experiments, and tools that they can reimagine and recapitulate at will. So, for instance, you look at Minecraft, a global phenomenon. What we did with Minecraft is we took a lovely version that Microsoft made free for the Raspberry Pi. We put in a simple coding arena called Kano blocks. Step by step, through these gamified challenges, you drag and drop these visual jigsaw blocks. The jigsaw blocks output real code, by the way, no abstraction, real code, JavaScript, Python, and then that Python gets pumped into the Minecraft API. So instead of playing by the rules of Minecraft, kids are remaking the rules. They're warping into existence a sky jail, a water slide. They're teleporting around the map. Our intention is to make kids feel like Neo in the Matrix, that they're thrown into this incredible sort of artificial world, and they realize it's more human than they think. They can see the code, they can piece it together in new ways, and they can start to take control. And gaming, by the way, is a beautiful metaphor for this.
I think you mentioned briefly the new Kano. You do actually have some additional product news today because the Raspberry Pi was updated at the start of this year, and it is 6 times faster. So what are you doing with the new Pi, and what is the new Kano?
So the new Kano is a significant step forward for us from the Kickstarter edition of Kano. It's 6 times faster. It's got double the memory, twice the USB ports, and it's filled with these wonderful new creative projects. There's Make Art, which is a digital easel to learn code by painting characters and fractals. It's very immediate, and again, the game mechanic is step by step. You learn how to type simple commands, magic spells we call them, and you see beautiful washes of color and shapes appear before your eyes. We've also created a narrative adventure called Terminal Quest, which I think some people in this audience who came up on the Commodore 64 or the ZX Spectrum might enjoy. Terminal Quest is a mystery. It's a narrative mystery told step by step, chapter by chapter, where you use Linux command line spells to unlock new powers, save your town, and burrow into basically a new world. You go down the rabbit hole, you try and solve a mystery, and as you're doing it, you don't realize it, but you're learning about the Linux command line spells that make a lot of the modern world work. Another area is with Kano blocks. Kano blocks is our coding arena. Drag and drop these visual blocks, create real code, change games, change music, change software. In Kano blocks, we've added some really cool new features. You can bring in new types of blocks into the Minecraft world, much requested ones like Diamond and Redstone. You can make sounds and characters appear before your eyes in the classic game Pong. To put it briefly, the new Kano is still the computer anyone can make, but with more speed, more creativity, and more of a sense of play. It allows you, still at the same price, $150, to make real magic.
All right, I think we've got to leave it there. We're out of time, but
Cool.
thank you ever so much, Alex.
Thank you.